to Safety Harbor Scott. I'm Scott Long, and thank you for tuning in to last week's first episode with Aaron Stewart. We learned a lot, kind of try to do a little bit better this week with this week's guest, the lovely Bobbie Wheeler, who is running this, or organizing, right?
Organizing's a good word.
Yes, organizing the annual Bloom and Chalk Festival that will be coming up March 18th and 19th. And I'm very sad this year, Bobbie, because I will be out of town, so
I know. I can't believe you didn't
plan
better.
I know.
What's the matter with you, Scott?
But I will look forward to seing the hundreds and hundreds of photos posted by friends, I'm sure. So it's going to be fantastic. So we were joking before the show. I'm going to start out by having you just explain this whole Chalk Fest as if people don't know what it is. And I'm really shocked if there's anybody in Safety Harbor that doesn't know what the Chalk Fest is.
Well, as many new people that are coming into Safety Harbor, there may be a few that don't know about it. And first and foremost, congratulations on this adventure.
Oh, thank you.
What a great idea.
Thank you.
And secondly, it's unusual for this town to see me by myself. Usually my co-chair is right here. As you all know, Stacy Roth and I co-chair this every year.
Post Office Square.
And we met way back in probably 2008 or 9. I was serving on the Public Art Committee. We talked about doing this. Nobody really stepped up to the plate and said, I'll help. And then I heard about this person named Stacy Roth that was a local artist, and she kind of wanted to do it, and we kept trying to meet up. We finally did. And we finally said, we can do this. We had no idea what we were doing, nor did we know it was,
Every event starts that way, Bobbie.
Exactly.
Every event starts that way.
It's a round-the-year adventure for us. So, way back in 2008, and we both were also interested in history, the museum, and art. So it was a good combination. For those that don't know, normally it's called street painting, although we're chalking. It started way back in the 1600s in Italy, when there were itinerant artists that couldn't get their work into museums. They would literally paint on the streets, and that's how they would get to be known. That's how they would get other work. So we thought that was a good combination with the museum. History, art, it was a good marriage.
Fantastic.
So that's how it started.
Awesome. And so for folks that don't know, folks come and they literally chalk drawings up and down Main Street, right?
This is very true. It's all chalk. Some of the artists do use some tempera paint underneath it for a base. The big, huge 20, 30-foot pieces that you see that are more the interactive 3D pieces, those generally are a good combination of paint. They would never get done with chalk, paint and chalk. Most of our pieces are on the sidewalk, almost all of them. Reason being is we cannot keep the street closed overnight. So we place them on the sidewalks, which is a challenge. It's a lot easier to do it in a big parking lot. The other reason that both Stacy and I felt strongly about was to bring business downtown. We're talking 2008. Third Friday was not what Third Friday is.
Yeah, very different these
very
days,
different.
So.
That's 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It was very different. So we didn't want to take anything away from the local businesses. So we kept it downtown. As you know, we don't have any vendors on Saturday. It's all about the artists. On Sunday, years later, Kiwanis joined us. So there are vendors on Sunday. But we kind of kept away from that. We were trying to bring the business to the restaurants, to the locals. I think we did a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that everybody looks forward to it. All the business owners look forward to it very much. So, one of the fascinating things for me is where you get the artists for this. Obviously, there's some Safety Harbor folks that come out, some folks that are local, but you have people that fly in with their chalk for this, right?
Well, they don't come with their chalk. Some of them might, but they don't have to come with their chalk. It's another story. We do provide that for them. Stacy and I will make some trips to some of the big events. There's a big event down in Lake Worth. We'll go there. We meet a lot of artists there. And they are a lot from Florida, but they fly in a lot of it. So we get to meet some of the artists from far away. We'll venture to a few other chalk fests. We've gone to one in Denver. Stacy has one in her hometown, which is St. Joe, Michigan. So we've been up there many years for theirs. We actually bring some of their artists, kind of a sister city kind of thing. They bring some of our artists up there. We bring some of their artists down here.
Perfect.
So that's where, we meet them, is at other chalk fests. Once we kind of built a reputation, No, they
Now
kind
people
of
find you.
knock on our door. They find out.
That's great.
We wish we could bring more of the traveling artists, but we just don't have that kind of budget.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, we're all about the local artists, so we'll always have a space for the local artists. Always.
So yeah, one of the interesting things about the artist for me is that I've been a host for one for the last couple of years, and you have lots of hosts, and so you try to find people to take these artists in to keep the cost down, because most of these, and correct me if I'm wrong, but most of these artists are not professional chalk artists, right? They have real jobs.
It's a good mix.
Okay.
There are quite a few that are professional artists, not in the sense of chalk art, but as muralists and all that type of thing. So they are professionals, and even the ones that wouldn't call themselves professionals, they do a lot of art.
Yeah.
They may have another job such as a teacher, architects, engineers. I mean, they all come from all different walks of life.
But either way, it's nice for them to find a place to stay. That
Exactly.
doesn't have to spend money on a hotel,
And
or for you to spend
for
money
us,
on a
our
hotel.
budget,
Yeah.
not to. And secondly, the other important thing is that it's spring break.
Yeah, right.
There aren't any
Places
hotels,
to
right?
find, right?
So that's part of it. So, and if there is, they're far away.
Yeah.
You know, we only have one hotel nearby, or we used to only have one.
Yeah.
So for them to be right here, not necessarily downtown, but right here and close, and because it's a 2-day thing.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And they're out there, and that's.
And you have a lot of activities for him too.
Exactly.
I know Eric, our artist who I love. We barely see him when he's here.
Exactly. And yes, and that is a big part of my job. A lot of Stacy's job ends up being the postcards, the posters, as you know, she's an artist, so she does a lot of that. I do a lot of the work with the artists, finding them homes. My real job, people don't realize I have a real job, is staffing. So I am constantly matching people with jobs. So I kind of fell into the match the host and the artist, and it's really been fun. And as you know, it'll be one little thing that they have in common, that they become friends, like you and Eric, right? And you can probably tell that story better than I can.
Yeah, it was just interesting that all the mutual friends we had and did not recognize our names until we showed up. So fantastic. Also with the artist, have you figured out which artist you're going to not turn the sprinklers off for this year?
So the 1 year that it did not rain, thank you, several, not just one, sprinklers came on, and so in front of some of them, but they were on timers, and they literally washed away.
Oh, I know. I'm laughing and I'm not. It's tragic. It really
was
is.
Tragic.
Yeah.
And we covered those pieces up.
Yeah.
Because it might rain. We'll cover it in plastic with the water because it was sprinklers.
But it is a real challenge for the event. I mean, whatever kind of rain, whether it's rain, the sprinkler, somebody spilling a soda, whatever. I mean, it's a very fragile kind of art.
Actually, one of the funniest stories was one of our first Chalk Fest. One of the artists was upstairs above Happy Salmon, and it had sprinkled in the morning. My art was a little wet, and all of a sudden, Bobbie Wheeler, get up here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to quit. He's gone. I'm in trouble. Didn't know the artist. I'm like going up there shaking. Oh my God, I don't want to get yelled at. You know, I want to do a good job. And he literally looks down, and here's his art piece, like kind of like a river running down.
Oh, no. He goes,
man, isn't that beautiful? Look at those colors just merging and flowing down the street. And I'm like, I'm worried it's going to rain. And you think it's pretty. Hey, art is in the eye of the beholder, yin and
right?
yang, yeah.
All right, so there's other parts of this festival as well, too. I mean, there's the Bloom part of the Bloom and Chalk Fest, and we should coordinate our shirts. It's embarrassing, but
I brought extras.
So that, and then as you mentioned, the Kiwanis organization puts on the arts and crafts on the same day on Main Street. So talk a little bit about the other things besides the chalk.
Well, now that you mentioned the Bloom, it started out as Bloom and I actually brought it. Sure, it's not that important. It was the Bloom and Garden and Chalk Fest. Okay, so the city used to have a garden show. And at that time, the city wasn't too keen on doing 2-day events. Okay. So we kind of piggybacked with them. Them being on Saturday, we asked for Sunday.
I didn't know this.
That's how the 2 days came to be. And then after a couple years, the garden show kind of went away because it's one of the biggest times, I guess, in the area for garden shows. So ours kind of dwindled away, and we were left with Bloom and Garden and Chalk Fest, but there was no Bloom and Garden. So we kept the Bloom name, dropped the garden, and that's how it got its name.
Oh, fascinating. Did you ever talk about getting Outback to sponsor you because it's blooming?
I know. Wait, that might not be a good idea.
New idea.
But we are trying to bring the Bloom Park back. So we are having a couple arborists down there from the city. We have a couple plant vendors. We're starting small. We'd like to grow that garden side of it again.
Gotcha.
But this is the first year we're trying to do that. So just a little step this year.
And of course, plenty of stuff to buy at the Arts and Crafts Festival too. Kiwanis does a great job with that.
Well, and that's how Kiwanis got in love with us. Once the garden show left, then it was just us doing this 2-day show. And Kiwanis was doing their spring show, I think, was more in April or May. So we kind of thought the two went together, and we started brainstorming, and they moved theirs up to March. And they just do the Sunday part, which is great because the people that come down, viewers that come down, get to watch the artists creating on
And there's
Saturday.
two little things. I mean, it's a good thing to come down for both days because the first day you see them creating, and the second day you come down and actually see it finished, which is fantastic. Okay, so this is really important to me because I run a bunch of events as well, as you know. The heart of these events are the volunteers, all right? There's no paid staff with these things.
There is no paid staff.
And no matter how good you are or I am at organizing this stuff, you can't pull it off without volunteers.
I think that's where that saying came, it takes a village.
It does, right?
And we know we love our village. So yes, we have volunteers probably over a 6-month period, actually. We have people that build A-frames, those big murals that you see. We have a team that builds those. We have, of course, our very popular volunteer spot is the beer truck. Those spots are filled, but we do have other spots. We sell merchandise, we sell the t-shirts. When these artists come to town, you mentioned, we have host homes, budget-wise, we take care of our artists. We really believe in taking care of them. So we pick them up from the airport, we host them, we feed them. As you mentioned, Aaron, he is actually hosting our artist dinner on Saturday night. So we feed them morning, noon, and night. It takes some of our local vendors, our local businesses. It takes volunteers, block captains giving our artists water. There's a million different things that are going on behind the scenes.
And are you still looking for volunteers, or are you still? Okay, how can people volunteer if they want to?
Jody Wilkins and Ellie Schaff head up our volunteer committee. If you don't know how to reach them, you know how to reach me. I can connect you.
There we go.
Very easily.
Perfect. And then, so we're recording this probably a week earlier than I normally would have because I'm going to be out of town next week and not doing a show. But it worked out well because you have an event coming up this Saturday, right?
Yes, because we don't have enough to do.
Right? So tell us about that.
That event is a pub crawl, and that one is being headed, it is benefiting the museum, and it is being really spearheaded by Stacy, if you haven't seen the t-shirts yet, and Heather Conrad. They're very experienced at those pub crawls. I think this is their 10th one they've done together. And we have, I think, 6 or 7 local pubs, bars, restaurants that are participating. T-shirts are for sale at Post Office Square, which is why Stacy's not here. She's busy making t-shirts, running Post Office Square. Yes, and you get special drinks and that type of thing. So we will meet, I believe they're meeting at the gazebo, 6:30. It's online. Yeah. Don't quote me, I get all this stuff.
Look for that on Facebook. All right, well, thank you, Bobbie, and stick around because we will do our 5 questions here as soon as I do my little news update here. So, all right, so the news this week is sponsored by Quaz Creative's new T-Public Safety Harbor storefront, featuring new nearly 90 Safety Harbor themed t-shirts and more designed by me. And you should check that out, including there's a Safety Harbor High School chalking shirt. You might like that. You can find a link for that in the show description. So the news this week, new and familiar owners of the Whistle Stop will be taking it over now. Cheryl Kinney posted on Facebook that she has sold the iconic restaurant back to Don and Patrick Pendola after the unexpected death of her husband Louis on Christmas Eve. Robert Boyd of ABC Action News shares the story of Bob Richardson, a Safety Harbor resident who each year turns 300 to 400 old musical instruments into works of art. You might have a little tie in there, maybe. And then it's spring cleanup weekend, so the city's quarterly offered to pick up bulk items like appliances during the next sanitation pickup. So put those out for that too. All right, things to do this weekend. Wednesday, it's International Women's Day with events at Sips Wine Bar, Tide Seafood Market, and other local businesses. Thursday night, you can be a game show contestant at the Safety Harbor Public Library during game show night. I'm going to miss that one, too.
Oh, no.
And it's Beer Week, so it's Tampa Bay Beer Week, and both of our Safety Harbor breweries are participating. Crooked Thumb will have a beer berry fest on Friday, and Troubled Waters will have an IPA home brew contest as part of their 4th anniversary celebration on Sunday. Can't believe it's been 4 years since they've been here. But more details on all these news and things to do items and plenty more can be found on the Quaz 34695 app, which is available for download for free at Google Play and the Apple App Store. Wow, all right, so I got through that pretty
Good
well
job.
this week. It was a little harder last week, but all right, so now it's a part of the show I like to call 5 Qs, and we're going to ask our guests 5 questions about a topic that they should know about, so not big surprises here. And like last week, I'm going to give you a choice of categories. So the first category is famous Hungarian violinists
That one
of the
again?
1680s. Aaron didn't want it last week, so it's available to you if you want it. Or Wisconsin.
I'm thinking No, Wisconsin.
You're going to go with
Wisconsin.
violinist. I mean, still really good questions.
We'll do
about it.
Wisconsin.
Someday we'll get those. So. All right, Wisconsin. So do you know anything about Wisconsin?
A little bit. I grew
You don't
up
happen to be from there, right?
I grew up there. I sure did. I still have kids that live up there. I don't know what their problem is. Come on down here.
Well, I love Wisconsin myself. I
You do.
cannot live there. The
But you're
cold
from
is horrible.
Ohio,
I am. But I have ties to Wisconsin. So.
Wisconsin, Ohio. I'm not sure.
All right, question number 1.
Okay.
Favorite kind of cheese?
Ooh. I'd have to say cheddar.
Cheddar.
I'd have to
Or you're
say
kind of boring like I am, then, right?
But I love my mozzarella too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Between those two.
All right.
I'm from Wisconsin. Give me cheese, I'll eat it.
Yeah, well, see, that's
You
the
know?
thing. So I'm a pretty adventurous eater.
Yeah.
But cheese,
Really?
I don't do well with cheese. So I go for the
See,
milder
I'll
ones.
try
Provolone, mozzarella, something like
I'll
that.
do all of them.
Well,
Not
yeah.
together.
Those are the charcuterie boards.
Oh,
I let my wife have all the cheese. Yeah.
I'm with her.
Yeah. Well, but you can't be from Wisconsin and not like cheese, right?
That is true.
All right, so cheddar. All right. Question number 2. Happy Days or Laverne and Shirley?
That's a good one, and that's a pretty easy answer for me.
And if folks don't know, they're both based in
They're
Milwaukee.
both based in Milwaukee, but I'm gonna go with Laverne and
Are you?
Shirley because I think you know this, but most people don't, I was the first woman hired in 1972 at Pabst Brewery.
I did
I
not know
was
that. Or maybe I've
Laverne
forgotten
and
that.
Shirley.
Wow.
That was me. Yeah.
So do you ever put a glove on a little beer and watch it go
Oh,
down the factory?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's fascinating.
We were not. I mean, this was back the 70s.
Yeah,
this was
right.
women's lib. I mean, I was home with 5 kids. That wasn't a...
Yeah.
But we had a hard time getting in there. They wanted to hire us for the office. They didn't want to hire
They
us
should
for it
put you in
because we
the-
couldn't do it. you
Yeah,
know.
the big manly
So
work.
we put on our jeans and our dungarees and our bibs and we got jobs. There were only 10 of us.
Oh, I love
And
that.
they hated us. We took away a man's job. And we were horrible people. We survived though.
Oh,
This is an
man.
experience. It was a great job. In the end, it was a great job. We won them over. We just cooked for them. Brought lunch.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Happy Days on that one. But I think this is the thing, and I don't know if you agree or not, but I think a lot of it is our appreciation for shows or where we are in our life when we watch them, right? And I was a kid when I watched both of these.
True.
So the Laverne and Shirley and
Sure.
Swiggy and all those folks, that was not my life then. Now I would really like Laverne and Shirley more than Happy Days.
Well, and everything comes back.
Yeah.
Rerun.
Yeah.
So even my grandkids have watched those shows.
Right?
You know.
All right, I'll have to check out Laverne and Shirley. All right, question number 3. What Wisconsin city has the best name?
Ooh.
So a lot of good name Wisconsin cities.
There's so many. And they're so easy for me to say. And it's amazing how a simple city like Waukesha
See?
becomes Waukesha.
Right.
You know? Or Menominee. I mean, people say it in 10 different ways. I'm from Milwaukee. I'm from Milwaukee, and I ought to know.
See, even Milwaukee sounds fun,
It's
doesn't
fun,
it?
it's fun, it's fun, it's fun.
Milwaukee.
Wherever you go. Yeah. It's all about the beer.
What about Sheboygan? I like saying Sheboygan.
Sheboygan. Sheboygan's a good one. Kewaskum. They're all very much Indian names, and
That's
isn't it
true.
funny? I end
Yeah.
up at the museum and talk about a guy,
Yeah.
you know, so. Full
Meant
circle.
to be. Meant to be. All right, question number 4. Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers?
Ooh.
I think you're having the same dilemma that I am again.
I'm going to have to go with Paul Horny. I'm sorry.
I was going to go with Bart Starr, so you're allowed to vote.
Bart Starr. I'm a 60s girl. It's just, And I haven't lived there when they were quarterbacking. I mean, that's not my team. Well, it'll always be my team long as they're not playing the Bucks, I guess.
All right, so you've transitioned.
I've transitioned,
okay.
but I'd have to go back to the 50s. I mean, I go back. My dad knew Vince Lombardi. I go back to the original.
Yeah, see? So, things were different back then.
Much different.
Yeah. All right, final question. Question number 5.
Oh, boy.
Why do Wisconsin tavern hamburgers taste so darn good?
It's the beer.
Is it the beer? Oh, this is a serious question. It sounds like a funny question, but every time I go to Wisconsin, every burger I get is like the best burger I've ever had. And I don't understand. I don't understand how that is.
Well, it's kind of like going to a football or baseball game and having a hot dog. I don't like hot dogs unless I'm at the game. Maybe you don't like.
So you're not a burger person either?
No, I am a burger person. My dad owned lots of restaurants, so I'm kind of spoiled on all the food items. But burgers everybody serves burgers in Wisconsin.
But they're just so
different.
I don't know if it's juicy or whatever it is. But.
It's juicy. Well, there used to be a lot of farms, and a lot of that. I know we're more about that now, the healthy foods, and I don't know. I just think they were all grass-fed and et cetera up there then. I don't know. There's just...
Maybe they just taste better because you drink more up there. Because Wisconsin literally, but statistically, drinks more than any other state, right?
Beer, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good claim to fame, but it might make the burgers taste better. I don't know.
But even if that's true, I will say my love of Wisconsin tavern burgers went back to when I was a kid, and we used to go to Green Bay almost every year for vacation, and that was back, in the 70s when you're allowed to take your kids into bars and sit them at the actual bar.
Yes,
and that was the greatest thing ever.
My dad getting there were 10
beer
bars on every street.
Yeah, right.
You didn't.
And then we get a burger, and I'm like, it was like literally the best burger back then. And now I can go back and actually have a beer with it. It's even better. But
you didn't then?
No.
Okay, just check it.
Yeah.
Just check.
No, I'm not gonna get my dad arrested on this show.
No. Love it. I'm going to have to look into that, though.
All right.
I'm not quite sure if there's a secret Wisconsin ingredient in this.
Right. Next time I have you on the show, you let me know.
I'll have an answer for you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in this week. Thank you to Bobbie Wheeler for being here and Stacy Roth for not being here. You look like you were going to say something.
Yes. One last thing.
Yes.
The important thing I forgot to mention. The Chalk Fest and the pub crawl does benefit our museum here.
Of course.
So that's a big one. A lot of people don't know.
Yes.
That. It all goes
by
to
far
the
the largest fundraiser you do every
largest
year for the museum.
Yes.
So benefits
Thank
the
you
museum.
for letting me scoot that.
Absolutely. So next week, be sure you go down to the Chalk Fest and all the fun stuff. See the pub crawl this week, and then I am on vacation next week in Georgia, so no show next week, and then we'll be back the following week. So like, subscribe, and we will see you in a couple weeks. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.